So hey everybody, I just got a package. Well, I didn't just get it, I got it a little while ago from Tina Walker, and we are doing a kind of a let's see what happens if we all get the same product and what we're going to make out of it. Everything you see here, with the exception of this box right here, I got from Tina Walker. We are all going to, and I think there's 65 of us who got these products. I'm going to turn this into a mixed media piece, and you can kind of see I've got the beginnings of it, how to lay out. These resin pieces here are going to be gessoed, and I'm going to do pretty much a fast-paced version of what this is going to look like. And you can see all the really cool items that we got. So I'm going to add more, but this is what we started with. And the deal was, it's my daughter saying hi, is that we use everything we were given, but we could add more. So I'm going to add in a whole bunch of mists and just play and get messy and have fun. Alright, so I just went through my supplies and basically picked out just a bunch of shapes. I'm not really worried about color because they're all going to get gessoed over. To hold everything down, I'm going to use some opaque light paste. This is from Prima, and then just going to kind of use my spatula brush or my fingers to kind of set everything in. Alright, so here is our fun little object, and we use the modeling paste, the light paste here, and if you saw my daughter's little hands having fun, to basically set everything in. I used a little bit of everything except for the stencil, and I have not used the two dewdrops yet, so that's still waiting in this tag. But I've used pieces of all the materials, the strings, all the larger objects. I still have some of the resistors left, and I want to play with them. I did use a whole row kind of embedded, and I even used part of the tagging here just to kind of line it. And then I embedded and kind of each of the ends of the wire, I used some of the fabric to kind of notch it in place. The next step is to cover this entire thing in gesso. So I've let this dry for a while, and the gesso has completely dried off. I mean, I've gotten every single nook and cranny, and there may need to be a double coat of something, but I think I'm going to go ahead and try and color it at this point. I've done my best to get the nooks and crannies down here in the center, and there may be some wet spots still, but that's okay. It'll just mold in with my color that I'm doing. I'm going to use, because I'm going to make this all kind of fall and autumn colors, really kind of hit some yellows and oranges and reds and browns, and really just kind of go for the autumn feel. We just got to snap a cold weather here and just feeling the vibe. So I'm going to use baseboard, and part of the reason why I'm using baseboard is because it has this really good deep coat that's really good coverage. So it'll cover over and latch onto the gesso, compared to a glimmer mist, which is a semi-opaque, translucent. This is a semi-opaque, so it acts more like a true coat of something, but in a spray. So it's kind of like just paint in a spray can or bottle, so to speak. So it does have a kind of a chalk feel to it, so make sure you shake it well, and I'm going to coat this entire thing. I did put some paper towel in the back just because it's a much easier cleanup than trying to wipe up my mat. And then make sure everything else is out of the way so you do not get your stuff all disgusting and gross. So the yellow is not fully dried, and that's okay, but now I want to start adding in some other tones of colors. So this is another Tattered Angels paint, but this is a different one. This one is actually by Brutus Monroe, and it's his phone book, and it's a chalk shimmer. It's a little bit different. It's kind of a blend between a Glimmer Mist and our baseboard that we were using a second ago. I also picked out some other paints, and I love this because these are the color tones I want to work with. These are the calendar kits from Tattered Angels. One of the first things you want to do is you want to give yourself some highs and lows, because if you make everything the same color, you're not going to see that there's layers of color unless you look right upon it. So from far away, you're not going to see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking the brown color out of this kit, and this kit was the Pumpkin Patch kit, and the kit down below is Fall Leaves. So this is Pumpkin Patch, and this was Fall Leaves. And I'm going to take my spray dropper and go into the nooks and crannies and add some of the color in there. I may also spray some, but you're just trying to hit where those darker colors are fitting in there. Go spray bottle and go kind of in there and spray. And if you want to wipe some of the top coat off, that's fine, but it just adds dimension. I'm going to start layering in. I've got my darker tone kind of going underneath. I don't want to go too dark on the top. I want to leave that light, but I want to add some more layers of colors. So now I'm going to go in with the Brutus Monroe color and spray a little bit of a different tone of yellow on this. Again, at this stage, you want to let everything dry again. So I pulled a few different things that are going to be some embellishments that we're going to add that's not going to go with the base of the sprays. So I think I'm happy with the coloration below, and now we're going to add layers on top. So I pulled in some fun words, and I like this Believe in Magic. That's going to be kind of the title of our little artwork here. So I think we'll do these in like a dark color. So I'm going to go ahead and spray them and get them started in this darker color and get them starting to saturate a little bit. And now they're really kind of pop off of this and really pop out. We'll add some more fun stuff to that later. I also took one of the extra materials that we have here and cut a strip. And I'm going to show you how to make this. And we're going to use some of the Fabri-Tac glue. That's from Beacon. So it's a really easy glue. So you got to puncture the top, and it comes right here. So you just pop it, seal it back on. And basically we're going to make a little rose with this. So while this is all kind of drying, we're going to keep on adding in some other elements and gluing them on as well. So you start with a little knot. And this is just a strip. I didn't even take time to really do a good job of cutting this strip. And then you start kind of twisting and knotting around. So you just kind of twist and turn and go under. And then as you get it going, you kind of keep folding it under, and you create a really cool little flower. If you don't like pieces, just keep tucking it under. Once you get a little bit of a base going, you want to start getting your glue in there to holding it in place. It's going to help center it. So you just keep twisting. Your little twisting around. This works with pretty much any ribbon. That's why I just kind of cut this fabric down to about a ribbon size. twisting and twisting until you feel like you've got yourself a nice little flower. Just a great way of using up materials, just make your own flowers. Now, this doesn't really quite go in terms of color, so I'm going to make sure that this is all connected together. I didn't add a ton of glue to begin with, so make sure this is all set in. And then we have our lovely mist here to get this all nice and colored. We're going to add some of these fun beads that I pulled over kind of in the middle to give it a nice fun center. Pick up fun orange. Here we go. And that kind of goes a little bit better. Matches in a little bit with what's already there. And now it doesn't have this glaring color against it. So we're going to take a few of our beads here. A couple of our darker color beads for fun. We're going to use some of these beads as well also throughout here and adding some other pops of color. So with all this paint that we've got embedded on here from adding in our glimmer mist and just kind of adding a little bit of paint to our brush from here, we've got some wonderful layers of dark colors of paint. We're going to make sure this is off to the side so we don't hurt it. We're going to lift up and add some color to the edges of our box here. So just take your stencil and just lightly tap. And it does not have to be perfect. You're not going to see too much of this, but we want some color. So I'm just going to kind of go around and add some around. There we go. So we just add some color around the edge, a little bit of something as we're going around. Now we need to go in and add some lighter color. We've got some nice dark, but we need to make everything pop. You cannot see all the design work in here and in here. You're missing some of the textures. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back with our gesso, and I just like putting a little bit on my finger, kind of like a palette on my hand. I can always come back and add more. And I just take it, kind of dab it between my fingers. It's okay if it gets some color, that's perfectly fine. And basically you're trying to pick up all the textures, and the textures that you may be missing because we've sprayed over them. Alright, so now I've added some highlights and lowlights. I added the dark into the recesses and added the light on the top. And it doesn't look white, it just kind of brings the light out. So I'm taking 5 of these little guys right here, and I kind of made one down here already. Kind of winding them together, treating them as a string. And then I'm just going to wind them in the bottom, one set of strands, just kind of twist them all together to create almost at the beginning of like a flower stem. And so you can see I've done one here. I'm taking a little bit of the gesso, putting one side, and we're going to end up gluing this down just so I can end up coloring that later on and covering up the blue, because the blue doesn't really go with our color scheme. I don't mind the silver, but I don't want the blue on there. Just kind of coating it up. I need to give this guy a better coat. And we're going to place him, probably have him coming off of here. And it's wire, so you can kind of bend it how you want. We're going to add some of these beads under the wire as well. So it's like the little kind of flower stems. We're going to tuck this guy under too. I'm going to do one more. This one's just going to be a 3er though. Alright, because I don't want to run out of my little bitty glue, and I like to have them for purpose, I'm going to pull out a different beacon glue. This is Beacon Mixed Media Glue, and start gluing down some of my objects. right, so certain objects look really good kind of like staring out into space here and kind of being blaring and obvious, but I'm not really liking these really super dark colors, and I've already glued them on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of color to them to kind of blend them in. So this is a high impact paint, and I am just going to kind of wipe this brush off. I don't mind if the colors blend a little bit. And really get in here. This is a really good coverage paint, and just kind of go in and make them a little less striking is the bottom line. Alright, so I've let this sit overnight, and I did just add one more flower. I did the same effect that I did to the flower. Can't see that. Same effect I did to the flower down here. I cut off a strip of the material, wound it up into a flower shape, glued it, and then added a few little beads, some of the beads I have over here, and then painted it with the high impact paint in the antique gold, really giving everything kind of a goldy vibe. At this point now, I'm going to go in and start adding in some fun colors. So just a couple of tones that kind of fit within the color. These are just some micro beads and some gold brush, just some fun little colors. And I'm just going to go in, and this time I'm going to use the mixed media glue and just find some spots that I want to add some sparkle. I know for sure I want to cover up this part right here on my little bead. I don't even know what you want to call these things. My bead sprays. Those are kind of fun. I took these wires and blended them together and then strung the beads on that. So that's kind of fun and cool. So I'm just going in the glue where I'm covering up and making, so it's right there. I want to add some fun beads along here. And I want to kind of add a few along here. This glue dries, but doesn't dry super fast, so I have some time to come in and add some cool texture. Add some along here, some in here. I'm gonna leave it for now, because I don't want to overdo it, and then I run out of time, or run out of drying time. Part of the other reason why I have my paper towel down here is it's going to collect a lot of the little bits and pieces here. This is just a little too big to fit in my little tidy tray. It doesn't have enough room. Okay. The other reason why I don't put too much glue down is then I'll forget where I stuck it, and then I've got this shiny glue piece and I don't remember that I stuck something there. So this way it helps me remember a little bit better about where I put everything. I know I did up here. So now I'm just going to go in and kind of press them in. Make sure they're hitting all the areas where the glue is. See, now this is kind of getting covered up. So you don't see where I had it gessoed and kind of just funny. Just makes it look better. All right, letting this kind of sit for a minute. And if any of the beads kind of fell into the piece or any of the sparkles, fine, not worried. All right, so here I went in and I just picked out a fun little few things. These are all brads from Outlet. These are some corner brads. I'm sorry about my finger. I sliced it the other day and it's still not doing better. And I really like this antique-y color on here. This kind of antique brass or bronze. So I'm just going to grab a couple of these. And these are really cool. Here, that one got a little bent. But you can see it's just a really cool little scroll. Just a really fun little scroll brad. Here's a couple of little yellow ones. Oops. So just little yellow gems. Here is a whole bunch of little, let me get that out of there. I'm gonna grab the gold. So little stopwatches, little clocks. And then I also grabbed, there we go, a couple of gears. Grabbing a couple of each. So here's just our fun gears right there. And it's just adding some more sparkle. So since we've got kind of a very yellowy gold feel to this, and I know these are on brads already, so if I'm not happy with the fact that it's a brad, I can just bend them down and then I can glue it in, and now I can add kind of a fun sparkle, you know, like there. And at this point I can kind of go in and place it. You know, I don't have to decide and glue it down right this minute. I also can use the brad to my benefit. So if I find a hole that I kind of want to rest it in, then I can use that to my, like I said, to my benefit. I can take a hole and I can kind of pop it, and it kind of wedges it in there a little bit more. So kind of like that, or wherever I want to place it. So it's just a matter of kind of tucking them in and placing them where I think I want them to go. Clusters are always good. So I think I'm going to go in into some of these, like this little guy here. It's just a little too brilliant. I'm going to add a little bit of my paint just to kind of wash it down a little bit. Same with my watch clock. It's just a little too, make it antique-y, kind of age it some. Just dab it. The more layers you add, the better it starts looking. Now I really want to play with this title. So the title to me is really just still not popping out. So I'm going to add, and I'm going to kind of wash my brush off real fast. This is Glimmer Glam and Roses Are Red. And here's the beauty of paint. You don't like it, you can cover it up, or you can keep changing it and keep playing with it. And this is a mixed media thing, so if it blends and gets in there, it's not a big deal. Glimmer Glam is a different kind of a paint that is chock full. It's kind of a resist paint, chock full of glitter and mica powder and all kinds of fun stuff. So you really want to shake it well and kind of get your brush deep down in there. And I'm not going to do the entire title, but I do want to hit some highlights. And just, you know, kind of add that pop. And maybe the red is what's going to make this thing pop. Sometimes you don't realize that a color is not going to work until you put it on the background and it's like, oh, that did not work. Might end up doing this whole thing in red. And I don't mind the fact that it's got kind of a different undertone. Just makes it a little bit more fun. You know, we're going for fall colors. Fall colors are everything from reds and golds and greens and browns. And the brown just kind of hid in there. It was too close of a color to the yellow, I think, to really have it shine and pop. As much as I love the brown there, it kind of hid. But I think this red is doing the trick. A matter of letting everything dry. Okay, so I grabbed some flowers, and I think what I'm going to end up doing is punching some of this in a flower. So I've got this kind of cool flower punch here. It's Starburst. So I'm going to stop kind of adding color to this and start adding just pretty embellishments. And some of my things that I've put on are going to get covered up, and that's okay. So finally got this in there. I might add some little sparkles in the center here, and then I'm going to kind of tuck in some of these little flowers. Take a step back and go, do I like the way that's going? Like, this just feels a little too fluffy to me. Yeah, it's a little too fluffy. Sometimes things just don't work. Yeah, I'm not liking the red either. Alright, so my last step that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some stamps from British Monroe. These ones are all kind of fun feathers and things like that. Now I'm going to use the feather stamps that are here. And along the edges, I'm just going to stamp randomly. And I'm not even going to block out so I can get some fun designs and just stamp. I think I'm just going to pick one feather just to make my life easier. And I'm just going to use my hand to kind of hold it. Actually, you know what I might do? Just attaching it to a flexible so it gives me a little more room to wiggle in terms of holding it. So I'm just using the back side of my stencil. Just come in and then just roughly stamp. I'm going to get 2 and 3 stamp iterations of this. come in sometimes, oops, just do the head there. That's why I wanted a flexible block and putting it on here, so I can really get in there and be flexible with it. It's just adding texture. So I've had this project going on my table for about 3 days. This is not an overnight process. It does take time. You've got to like each layer set and dry before you add another layer. The things underneath you really cannot care about. It's just junk pieces, and some of it you don't even see because it got covered up, and that's fine. So you really don't want to use your prize pieces until the very, very end, because good chance you're not going to see them anymore. So thanks for stopping by. I'm going to get some pretty pictures and hope you follow along and check out some of the other people that are taking a look at this, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.